Good afternoon, Claire, and thank you very much for joining me on this fireside chat about the importance of workflows. My name's Catherine Ottway. I have been the managed service team lead for 5 years now here at CJC. You've been with us almost as long. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, Catherine. I'm Claire. I have just celebrated my 5th anniversary working for
Congratulations.
CJC. Thank you very much.
And what was your background before coming to CJC?
I was a mother, so I was a stay-at-home mum for 11 years, and then I came back to work for CJC.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, having been with us for 5 years, you've obviously got a lot of experience with workflows. What have you found can happen with an inefficient workflow?
Inefficient workflows cause all sorts of issues. If you haven't got an efficient workflow, then you will find that invoices will come back, you've got problems, then you're trying to dig back into how the problem happened, what the problem is, and that can be a lengthy process, especially if it's a large invoice that's got a lot of services on. You will be there for a good couple of hours trying to just find out where the problem is. So inefficiency is one of the most important parts of the workflow process.
One of our particular clients has a lot of teams within the workflow and a lot of steps. In your experience, what can happen if the communication breaks down between those teams?
If communication breaks down, you are open to errors, mistakes. You need to have the consistency within that team so that you don't end up with a possible reputational risk of clients having errors where they don't get their clients back. So it's so important to have communication within the teams and in the wider teams so that everybody knows that you're singing from that same hymn sheet and working towards the end goal, which is a correct invoice to be processed and paid.
Why, in your opinion, is an agile workflow so important?
It's so important because in the world of market data, it's a changing world on a daily basis. So if you don't keep up with your workflows, keep them up to date, share that knowledge with the wider team, as an SME, you would let the whole team down. You need to be consistent and following, and because it changes on a daily basis, keeping everything up to date is so important, because if you don't, then that's when you're going to have errors, miscommunication comes into play, and you could end up with all sorts of problems with invoices being rejected, coming back, or you could end up paying an invoice that shouldn't be paid, and then you could be into a big, because some of the invoices are millions of dollars, and that would cause you reputational risk. So you've got to be on top of the workflow.
So, what does CJC managed service do differently?
We have a very in-depth runbook, which I have stylised to almost a dummies book for anyone coming into the industry, so that they can start at the very beginning and go from start to finish with videos included, so that if you're not entirely sure what something means, you can see the screen you need to look at, because it's so important, because it's so difficult when you say to somebody, could you do this? And they've got no idea of. So for me, it comes down to that mentoring part of what I really enjoy about the job, is to help people understand that workflow. And if there's something not quite right that somebody doesn't understand in the workflow, then we will go back and change it so that it makes sense to the individual that needs it to make sense to.
And that means that we can provide that all-important holiday and sickness cover that a managed service
Yes,
do to a good quality.
To a very good quality, a high standard. I put myself under pressure to have high standards, but it also means that if somebody isn't well or not in, we can then pull somebody else in from another team, and they've got that run book there to use as their foundation to process and help when needed.
So having come into market data, 5 years ago, from a different industry, and also being a mother, which I am as well, you have to be quite organised and you have to have these home workflows as well. Why is it so important to have that market data knowledge when doing workflows?
It's before I came into this industry, I didn't even know it existed. So it was an eye opener to me. The organisational skills that you bring mean that you can follow the processes that need to be followed. If you haven't got that organisation or skill there, then market data is it's a changing world. It changes on a daily basis. Everything is different, and so you need to be focused on staying calm, organised, to be able to process, because it's similar across the board, but every client is different, and they all have their own niche needs on how they want that process to be done. The client that I work on currently have different ways of doing things, and you have to be prepared to adaptability, and be able to move forward with the client's wishes, because at the end of the day, it's the client that's important, and that's what we pride ourselves on, is providing them with the best service that we possibly can.
So in the managed service team, we work very hard on making sure that everyone's got access to the whole of the team. Why is that important when writing these workflows?
I think it's really important that you know and have a broad understanding of some of how the other clients work, because you can bring and you can adapt something. So there might be something that somebody else does that you then bring on board, adapt it to work for your client, and actually it makes that whole process seamless, better. But you can also take ideas to your client and give them ideas on how to improve the services that they've got, because everybody's different. Every client works differently, but they don't necessarily know how other clients work, and that's where we come in, and we provide them with our knowledge, our skill, and we forward that onto them to make their processes better for the whole team.
Thank you very much for joining me, Claire. What you had to say was really insightful. So having worked with us for 5 years and being one of our longer team members, what do you find is great working for CJC?
The thing I find really good working for CJC is that they are open to pushing you. So I've just completed my FISD exams, which I never would have dreamt of doing, but with your support, you pushed me and got me through it. And just working with a team of people that, I always say, they're your work family. So you need to be able to get on with your work family, and every one of our team brings something unique and different to the team, which makes it such an enjoyable place to work.
Fabulous, thank you.
Thank you.